Oh, everybody, real quick, apologies for the slight delay if you were waiting. We'll get the show started right now. All right, awesome. Video always gets me pumped up. All right, thank you for joining us. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce the man you've been waiting for, Tuhon Jared Wihongi. Tuhon, how are you doing today?
Awesome. Yep, great to be here on the show.
Awesome. Yeah, we ran into a little bit of technical difficulties there. We were a little bit delayed, but happy to have you here, of course.
Great to be here, brother.
All right. So we're here to talk about the 6th PTTA Asia training conference. Can you give us the 30-second breakdown? What is it?
Absolutely. Yeah. So this is something we do every 2 years. This is our first one since the pandemic kind of put off our schedule. And essentially, this is an opportunity for practitioners of Pekiti Tirsia Kali from around the world to gather together in the Philippines, the place where the Filipino martial arts and Pekiti Tirsia come from, and spend a good 10 days or as many days as you're available. Some people stay 1 or 2 days, but it's a 10-day conference where you get together, have fun, camaraderie, train, and just have a great experience.
Awesome. Let's talk about, first and foremost, we are traveling to the Philippines, right? One of the questions that pop up, whether or not it's vocalized, is it safe to be traveling to the Philippines?
Absolutely. Yeah. I travel, personally, I travel all over the world, and the Philippines is one of the areas I'm not too concerned about. I mean, just like with anywhere, you got to have your wits about you, like anywhere in the world, just got to make common sense travel decisions and, things like that. But as far as just general safety, there's no particular threats. We don't go to areas of the country where sometimes there's some flare-ups of some instability, but they're very isolated to particular areas, particularly the south of the Philippines, which we don't venture into those areas. The areas we go to are very popular resort areas. People from all over the world frequent these areas, and there's no real issues, like I said, outside of what you might expect anywhere in the world, but no particular threats that anyone should be concerned about.
So as far as the logistics is concerned, can you talk to us a little bit about that? I mean, it's the Pekiti Tirsia Tactical Association. So one would assume that the tactical part has a lot to do with how these events are organized. So can you talk to us about air-to-air transport, airport-to-airport transportation, ground transportation, any sort of contingency planning that might be in play when it comes to traveling to and from, ports of entry to destinations?
Yeah, in fact, the area where we're having our conference this year is in a very, very, one of the most popular resort areas of the Philippines in Bohol. There's actually a new international airport, right? So it's the province is Bohol, but there's a small island which is Bohol is a larger island There's a smaller island off the coast called Panglao, and it's the most popular resort area of Bohol. And there was actually a new international airport just built within the last few years, and it's within like 10 minutes of the resort. So it's really close by. It's an international airport, so there are actually flights that come in and out of there from other countries. Most people that come into these conferences will fly into the main national airport, the Manila Ninoy Aquino National Airport in Manila, and then from there get a domestic flight over to wherever we're having the conference, in this case in Panglao. So there's options, if you're coming from an area that might have a direct flight to Panglao Island, or Manila, and then Manila a short flight over. They're very safe. The airports are very secure. They have great protocol. As far as like getting from the airport to your actual resort, that's taken care of on our side. We do have vans that will be picking people up, taking them to the airports, taking them to the resorts, back to the airport. Okay. So accommodations are very simple and very safe.
Just maybe an obvious thing, but there's Wi-Fi, right? There's Wi-Fi everywhere.
Absolutely.
Much.
Yep. These resorts
are not in a jungle, isolated area.
No, not at all. These areas are very, very modern. As far as the technology is available, Wi-Fi is available in the resorts, and so that's not a concern at all.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, sort of on behalf. You and I travel quite frequently, but there are some people who may not have traveled outside of their home country and really want to go. And I just sort of want to get that sense of, hey, it's fine. Everything's going to be okay. You're going to be taken care of.
Absolutely. In fact, as a team, we're here. We do, the PTTA administration team are here to actually help in any way we can logistically. If people have questions about, the travel arrangements, if they need any assistance making any particular arrangements, that's what we're here for. So we always provide that level of assistance. A lot of people that have already come into the Philippines for these events, they kind of know the ropes a little bit, so they're comfortable making those arrangements on their own. A lot of people like to, and this is something our very first one of these we did, I think it was in 2013, if I'm not mistaken, our first PTTA conference. But what we did was we had everyone meet in Manila. And one of the reasons why was, just if it's your first time to the Philippines, sometimes just getting to know the culture and the history, a lot of it's centered around Manila. So there's a lot you can get to see there, museums, the old Intramuros area of old Manila, the walled city. And then that first conference was actually the first part was on Luzon. So we actually drove down to Batangas area on the same island for the first part of that conference. But a lot of people like to come into Manila. We've got a great group of our PTTA clubs there in Manila that like to receive people, kind of take them out, take them to restaurants, bars, and whatnot. So that's always a fun thing for people that are interested in that also. As far as just like getting around, it's very, very easy to do so. Like I said, the airports. There's a couple of airports there, depending on what airlines you're flying in, but they're all next to each other. And so it's very easy to get around. There's a lot of hotels around the airport area, general area, so that people are staying overnight before they fly over to the island. There's those possibilities also.
Yeah, and English is a national language in the Philippines, so it's not like you get lost somewhere because you're adventurous. You're gonna
for a country where the national language is not English, it's in my experience the most English-speaking country in the world, where English is a second language, and most particularly in the city areas, Manila and the resort areas, most everyone is going to speak very good English, and so that communication is not a problem in the Philippines.
So there's a few ways to go to this training conference. One would be, you stick to the schedule and you go where everybody goes, you stay where everybody stays. But there's sort of like this alternate for people who are a little bit more adventurous, who are comfortable traveling. There's also that path where they can stay outside of the resort. Maybe they don't want to stay in a world-class resort. They want to stay in a hostel, or there was one guy camped out on the beach, brought a tent, and just camped out.
Yeah, no, we have and it's very safe to do so. And we do have people that, again, maybe it's they prefer to, they're just more comfortable in those type of accommodations, or maybe it's a budget issue where people are looking for a little bit more affordable accommodations. And we do have a program where people can just pay for the training and make their own accommodations outside of the resort. And there are a lot of areas to do that in this particular island because it's such a popular tourist destination. So hostels, different types of hotels and motels that may not be beachfront, maybe a street or two off the beach, but it does make the difference in the pricing also. So, there are lots of options. And like I said, people like to get adventures, not just for where they stay, but some people like to, I'm going to take this day off training and go and explore this particular tourist area, tourist spot here in this region. And the schedule that we create accommodates whatever people want to do, make the most of the opportunity and the time.
That's awesome. Like I can totally imagine somebody choosing that route, staying maybe in a hostel, getting to know other local travelers, waking up to those dang roosters crowing in the morning, the national alarm clock of the Philippines. Taking a tricycle down to the resort and then getting their training on. That's really
yes. Cool. There's nothing like that experience, and that reminds me of my first night in the Philippines, and my first trip there in 1994, and I was rudely awakened the first morning by a rooster right outside my outside my window. But it's a very authentic experience, and just kind of it all makes part of just kind of experiencing the Philippines.
That's awesome. I'm going to play a quick video here. I don't think this one has been released. This has a little to do with sort of like the in-between moments, right? Like the befores and afters and in between the training sessions where we get to experience some of the culture, the nightlife, the food, the day trip. So I'm going to play that video for you guys right now. Cheers.
Our PTTA Asia training conferences are the perfect opportunity for people around the world to gather in the Philippines and train in the Filipino martial arts in the country and the culture where these arts were formed. There's something special and unique about this type of an opportunity, and we hope that you'll take advantage of it. In addition to being in the birthplace of the Filipino martial arts, you have the opportunity to train with local Filipino instructors within the PTTA and learn a little bit about their ways of training this amazing art. You'll get the chance to experiment in local cuisines and foods, not only from the local area where this conference will take place in Bohol, but the Filipino foods and cuisines in general. They are amazing, and it's a great opportunity to just enjoy that as part of the culture. A lot of people that attend these conferences like to also just participate in and experience some of the nightlife, whether it's around the resort areas where we'll be training or in one of the other cities during your arrival to or exit from the Philippines. So another great opportunity. We also organize day trips, a couple of them during the conference, so that you get a chance to really enjoy and visit other areas in the particular part of the Philippines where we'll be. One of the particular tourist spots that people enjoy in the area of Bohol is the Chocolate Hills. Look it up. It's one of the amazingly beautiful landscapes within the Philippines and local to where we will be training. And so we hope that you will take advantage of this opportunity to get an immersion into the Philippine culture and the place where Pekiti, Tirsia, Kali, and the Filipino martial arts in general hail from. We hope to see you there.
Yeah. So there's that. All that stuff happens.
Getting me excited, man.
I know, me too. I'm getting hyped up. So we got a question from Kurt from Alaska. Maybe you can field this one. What about bringing families?
Hey, I'm gonna tell you from personal experience, no better place to do that. I've taken the last one in Sikihor in 2019. I brought my wife and my 3 children and had the most amazing my kids still talk about it to this day. It was just an amazing experience. So absolutely, if you can accommodate that, then I recommend it. It's like I said, it's something your kids will never forget. And to experience this with your loved ones, I mean, for me, that's the best scenario, if again you can accommodate that type of an arrangement.
Absolutely, right on. Yeah, they had a blast, and I had a blast training with your little boy there.
Yeah, they'll be there again this year, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, he's already trash talking. He says he's
Sounds
going to beat
about right.
me up.
Yeah.
All right, so we got another question here from Nadine. What about arriving a few days earlier and or staying longer because of flight times or for whatever?
Yeah, if you can take that much time out of your schedule, your work schedule and whatnot, recommended. Yes. One, it is traveling to Asia depending on where you're coming from, the jet lag is quite harsh, and so if you can take a day or two to just rest up, and kind of get your bearings, recommended. But also, if you've got a few days beforehand, then you can experience a little bit of whether you're there locally, just do things that do outside of the training program, so you don't have to skip a training day to do those things. Or if you're in the city in Manila or whatnot, again, there's so much to see, to experience the history of the Philippines. So yeah, if you can do that, then it's recommended. Yeah.
Awesome. And just on that note, if you're able to have a few days before the event or after the event to be in Manila, there are amazing opportunities to train not only Pekiti Tirsia, but there are so many great instructors from different Filipino martial arts systems who are in and around that area. It's something that I did actually from the last training conference in Asia. I was able to stay for 2 days, and I got to meet, Mang Henry Espera and just the community of Filipino martial artists who are trying to uplift all of it based in Manila. So and there are forums. If you're on FMA discussion, for example, and that's something that you might be interested in, there are a lot of forums, and Filipinos are so accommodating and welcoming. If you just say, hey, I'm going to the PTTA training conference, I have a few days in Manila, does anybody want to meet up? I am almost certain that you'll have no shortage of people wanting to welcome you so that they can share their art with you as well. Is that something that
yeah, no, definitely. There's great opportunities there in Manila to get some extra training into. Some people have already contacted us about taking advantage of the opportunity while they're there to get in a Tricom course. I will be conducting also a Tricom course Friday and Saturday prior to the event. We did it that way so that Sunday people can either rest or travel to Panglao. Because the conference does start on Monday. So the Monday is a travel day. So people will be trickling in that day. But if you wanted to get the training in that day, then again, you can arrive there on Sunday and whatnot. So for people that want to do that. But yeah, there is a Tricom course there also. We've got between, in addition to other opportunities of other FMA groups in the area, we do have a couple of clubs there, Pekiti clubs, Mandala Patches group. And again, I don't know what the training schedule is going to look like those few days before the event, but it's worth looking into also.
Yeah. By the way, for folks who don't know what Tricom is, what is Tricom? How does it relate to Pekiti Tirsia? Real quick.
Yeah. So Tricom, in a nutshell.
Before you said, right? There's a Tricom training event.
Yes.
Before the PTTA Asia conference.
Yes.
Well, can you talk to us about what exactly?
Yeah. Looks like there we go. The Tricom program was developed during my years back in the 2000s when I was a full-time police academy instructor and also contracted to train U.S. Army Special Forces in hand-to-hand combatives. And I developed programs that are centered around Kali, but kind of are simplified so that people can learn essential skills in a short period of time. Works, and I say centered around Pekiti, Tirsia, Kali because it's really a blend of things in my martial arts experience, my background of the different arts that I've trained in addition to that. And it's basically compact, so it's perfect for self-defense training for people that don't train on a regular basis. And every time I'm in Asia, there's people from different. Last month I was in Manila and I conducted a Tricom 2-day course, and I had people come from Singapore and from Malaysia and from around the Philippines, and there was people from different countries that came there. And so we'll be doing that again. While I'm in the Philippines, we're going to have that opportunity for people from the region, or maybe people coming from the States that are just going to be in the Philippines. There's one guy that's already registered for it, that's coming from Georgia, and wants to attend the Tricom training prior to the conference. So yeah.
Okay, right on. All right, so let's talk about the actual training. So I understand there are 3 classes a day. What are some of the topics that might be or will be covered? And I may as well add, are these classes fluid? Do they change based on who's there at that time, or perhaps at the request of a group?
Yeah, so essentially we do have 3 classes a day. It was an early morning class, a late morning class after breakfast, and then there's a late afternoon class. So that's that afternoon portion from lunch to through the afternoon. It's usually the warmer part of the day, but also it's so we take that part off of training, but it's also a great opportunity. When you're in these locations, you don't want to just be training all day. So we give people a good chunk of the day to just enjoy the beach and do what they want to do, enjoy the location. But the topics are always, they're very Pekiti Tirsia Kali centric. So we obviously have our single stick classes. There'll be double stick. We'll have single knife. There will be some double knife. We'll have our empty hand striking, Pekiti boxing, pangamut, the empty hand subsystems of Kali. We'll also be doing some sibat, which is the long stick, the long staff of Pekiti Tirsia Kali. We'll be doing some of that there, and we do get. I'll probably run some Tricom, some more kind of pared down, simplistic self-defense type stuff from the Tricom program. That's usually there's a group, at least a group of people that will want to do some of that at the actual conference also. So we have all these topics. We are very flexible with. If we say this is the topic for the day, and then we see based on the group, maybe the level is a little higher, or maybe the level of experience is a little bit lower. So we always adapt the training based on who's in the group. We don't have a set lesson plan set in stone. We want to make sure that everyone is having a good learning experience. So, and then topics are fluid too. We get there and people are like, there's a group of people that want to focus on this subsystem. So we'll make sure that we do include that in the training. We do split the group into 2 just to make the groups. The morning session is usually everyone together, the early morning, and then the next 2 sessions are split. But just so that no one is missing out on, hey, what is that group doing? What is this group doing? We make sure that the instructor for that group repeats the class for the next group so that everyone gets the opportunity to train in the same stuff. Sometimes there may be some tweaks to the lesson plan based again on the level of the people in the class, but we try and follow, make sure, hey, if I'm training with Tuhon Kit and I got some single knife today, we want to make sure the other group gets a chance to do single knife with Tuhon Kit also.
Nice. And also one of the cool things, and I think it was mentioned in one of the videos, was that we're going to be living and being with instructors, not only headlining guest instructors, but instructors of Pekiti Tirsia all over the world, right? And so what I personally witnessed is that, yeah, there's a lot of fun and leisure that happens, but training doesn't really stop. There's Pekiti conversations happening over breakfast. There's guys with questions, and then an instructor would be like, "Come on over here, let's do this." So it's constantly happening, right?
Yes, exactly. It's a saturation of Pekiti Tirsia Kali opportunities, And again, like you said, people, they come up with questions. They, guys want to do a little bit of training during the downtime. We get guys over in the corner want to do some sparring during the downtime. So we get all the stuff that kind of organically take place with this group of people, and like you said, from around the world. So it does give people like a chance to see, hey, that group over there in Germany, how do they train? What's some of the methodology they utilize, and things like that. So, and again, we get with those instructors, we get people that specialize in particular areas. I remember last time we had Mandala Johannes from Germany was teaching some weapon-based grappling stuff during some downtime, and he's got a great background experience in German jiu-jitsu, and so that was a great opportunity for people to just kind of explore. It's just a great opportunity, or not. Some people just like, okay, I'm out of training, I'm gonna go off to that beach on the other side of the island that I heard about, kind of a thing. So there's this everyone's got the flexibility to just kind of make it their experience.
Yeah, the last time, aside from, by the way, I'm a huge fan, and he knows this. I'm a huge fan of Johannes. Huge fan. That guy does Pekiti and Tricom in a very special way, and I got to experience firsthand one of his classes. Actually, I believe it was in Sikihor, if I'm not mistaken, where he had I'm not sure if it was a pop-up class or if it was scheduled, but it was a great class. We were doing some ground grappling, weapons-based, and then it started raining a little bit, but the weather was it was so warm. It was almost comforting to have this rain, and it just felt so amazing to be like grappling with people from all around the world under the instruction of Johannes, getting all muddied. There are just so many of those opportunities. I think that it makes it really special. You really get in touch. For me, this is I'm speaking personally, with that sense of that primal self, where in today's modern landscape, sometimes it's hard to get those. We work in an office, we do our 9 to 5, we have our routine, and all of a sudden you're in the Philippines mud wrestling with all these warriors. It's really cool.
It is, yeah. It's unique, It's unforgettable experiences, and people learn so much. They just kind of go back to their regular lives reinvigorated, re-energized, and looking forward to the next one. We have a lot of people that keep coming back to these because they just enjoy it so much. There
is a big drop when it's over. It's a huge, for me, it was like, oh no. It was almost like graduating from high school, when everybody goes their own separate ways. And it's like, when am I going to see that person again? Because it's such an amazing experience. So be prepared for that. There's an emotional drop, but then that should, as you say, reinvigorate you, right?
Yes.
All right, so we have some questions. Another one from Nadine. What is a must-have I have to bring for training, and what is a bonus?
Must-haves would be, 2 sticks, 2 knives are the musts, and for these particular events, we do recommend that you also bring some boxing gloves, because we do get into some physical drills with our Pekiti boxing and get a good workout of it. Focus mitts are, we do some focus mitt drills. So usually those are, the main, the must-haves are definitely 2 sticks, 2 knives. If you've got some, like I said, ideally, right? If you can fit it into your luggage, not just some heavier bag gloves, but maybe even some open finger gloves that you can do some striking and grappling with, because the lesson plan sometimes will have a combination of those. So, and then sparring equipment. If you've got a fencing helmet and some hockey gloves, it would be a bonus also. Those do take up quite a bit of room in people's luggage, so we understand people don't always have them, but those would be bonus, pieces of equipment to bring also.
Okay, 2 sticks, 2 knives are must-haves, and then MMA gloves or boxing gloves, focus mitts, and a fencing mask if you can bring it, if you want.
And like hockey type gloves, or some gloves that, sparring gloves.
Okay, here's kind of just a training questions. Got any tips for fitness instructors seeking to sneak in Kali drills without calling them Kali drills?
Yeah, that's that. I could go on about that. That's a question, but definitely, some of the things I like to do is look at some of our more physical footwork drills. Like wave in, wave out, ducking drills on triangular patterns, and very simple ones. Because again, if it's a fitness class, you don't want to take a lot of time into teaching people the actual drill, and now half my my training time is gone, but by the time we start getting physical with it. So just simple footwork drills that can combine ambidextrous, whether it's strike patterns with sticks. It could be just like two little weights in the hands, like a 1 pound weight, but you're doing like ones and twos where it doesn't look like a weapon in my hand, but I am actually just practicing, coordination and angles along with footwork patterns. So those are some, that kind of give you some ideas, because again, you can go on with this, but simple footwork patterns, simple hand movement drills, coordination patterns. I like the symmetry of it because, again, if you're looking at fitness, you want to make sure you're training both sides of the body equally. And so, those are some of the things I like to explore, that kind of give you, some ideas on things that you can do to just, again, we could kind of get deeper into that, but just some simple ideas on how to start playing with fitness movements. The footwork patterns can be quite physical. In our PT sessions for our early morning training sessions, sometimes we'll get into some of the more physical footwork drills. Obviously we're not sneaking it in, and everyone knows this is fitness for Kali, so we're not really sneaking it in there. So we've got sticks and we're doing these things, but there's ways you can do it also and make it a little bit more, a little less obvious of what people are doing, but at the same time, I'm training particular skills that do apply to Kali.
Right on. Yeah, I remember when we were in Spain, one of the drills you had these guys do was just go on a run while swinging sticks, and it's not the prettiest looking thing, right? But there's so much to be discovered, and it's so useful to be on a run while navigating these striking combinations. It's one of the things that I teach my beginner students, just so that they can figure out, oh, that was awkward, and then make
exactly. We'll do short sprints, like 3-4 step sprints with strikes. And if you've never done it, it seems like simple and easy, and simple and very comprehensive. But when you try it for a lot of people, most people, it's really not. It's like your feet and your hands are doing funky things, and people start running, running in weird ways. And so it's simple things like that can be great.
Yeah, it's a great self-diagnostic tool, great cardio, and you're learning important Pekiti Tirsia skills. Okay, we're just going to get through the questions and we're going to end this. We don't want this to go on too long. Question from Clive, possibly a daft question, but are you able to buy sticks and training knives over there to save on traveling with them?
No, that's actually a good question. And yes, actually, we do have availability of equipment there for people that want to, buy equipment there in the Philippines. So it's one of the things we just kind of learned through doing these, that people are always asking to buy equipment when we run these events, and our first ones we didn't always have it. So that's one thing we make a point to have some equipment there. Even people shirts to train in. People. You do get quite sweaty. You're hot. You're on the beach, and people, I need another shirt. So we even have additional shirts and things like that people can get also.
Right on. And we just got a comment from Dan Bercascio. For those who might have challenges in bringing their sticks to Bohol, we can help. Just message us. Dan was recently here in Toronto. Actually, he is one of Mandala Patch's students.
Okay. So I saw that. Yep, he's a great guy, and I did see the picture with him. I just saw him in the Philippines last month too. So yeah.
There you go. So there's opportunities to go shopping a little bit. Yeah. Again, it's here's a question. What are the big no-nos to be aware of for attending the conference and travel to the Philippines? That's an interesting question.
Yeah, it is an interesting question, because I can't really think, think of don't break the law, don't go to jail.
Although we do know some people that, no, I'm just
but if it does happen, no. I mean, it's good. It's as far as just like travel to the Philippines and whatnot. I mean, gosh, make sure you're not traveling to the Philippines. For example, I traveled to some countries where I would say, don't take any knives with you, certain things like that. But in the Philippines, it's not a big issue. Obviously, you don't want to make sure you don't have any guns or ammo in your luggage. That has happened with people travel with luggage, just end up getting some trouble. But outside of that, I mean, make sure that you be aware that the sun is quite harsh. So make sure you do bring things that can protect you from getting sunburn burn, with as long as some good sunscreen and whatnot, and making sure that you're not, getting. We do have people that get really burned, and then that just puts a damper on the training for the next few days. So, but outside of that, I mean, I don't know, Paulo. Is there anything else you can think of on that? It's out of common sense things,
It is a lot of common sense things. I think a big no-no would just be kind of based on attitude. This is an amazing training opportunity, an opportunity to unite the community of Pekiti Tirsia. So if people go there sort of with like a chip on their shoulder and they want, because there's a really amazing sparring day at the end of the conference, right? So just generally bring a good, positive, open-minded attitude, and a no-no would be bringing the opposite of that. Other than that, no, I can't think of really anything. You do bring up that it's hot and the sun is hot, and some people do get sunburned. What are the medical facilities like in the Philippines, and will there be medical staff on site at these events?
Yeah, and before we get on to, I'll answer that question, but I just thought of another, with the no-no thing, and this is, this could apply to anywhere really, but just go with a good, be respectful, and with a good attitude and open mind, because again, if it's your first time to a place like the Philippines, a third world country, things are done differently. People come from different circumstances, and sometimes it's harder for us that live in countries that are a little more modern and have more, better economic situations to sometimes understand some of those things. So just have a good open mind. Like I remember one thing that was told to me in my first time going to the Philippines is, if you kind of spend all your time looking at trash on the ground, then you miss the opportunity to have your eyes up and seeing all the beautiful culture, the beautiful people, the beautiful environment, and all the amazing things that a country like this has to offer. So in other words, look for the good, and enjoy the good things of the experience, because again, it can be a bit of a culture shock for people that aren't used to being in countries that are third world countries. And so focus on the good. Big no-no is to have a bad attitude, complain, compare, and criticize the way people do things, because until we've walked a mile in their moccasins, sometimes it's a little hard to see things through their eyes. So that's a big thing for me. Is just, people ask me all the time, what's your favorite country? And I have a hard time answering that, because I always look for the good. Every country I go into has these amazing things that if you just kind of look for them. So that would be one. Just have a good attitude, when you travel, and for the training also, like you mentioned, just an open mind and a good attitude towards things.
Yeah, that's good advice, especially when you're going to venture off resort. Respect and kindness goes a long way. But yeah, and I think it's almost like self-defeating. Like, if you're going to have a trip ruined for you because the water pressure in the shower isn't as strong as you had at home, maybe there's nothing that could have salvaged it for you. But
chalk it up to an experience.
Yeah. What are the medical facilities there like? On-site medical staff.
Yes. Yeah. So we always have we started doing this a few conferences back, but we do hire some on-site medical staff that can be there. And we never really needed to, other than like blisters and small things, small, maybe some bruises and stuff like that. We've never really had to use them, thankfully, knock on wood. But we do have staff on site, and there are modern medical facilities close by, and world-class medical facilities within within the Philippines also. But locally, there are medical facilities. The local communities, the local political structure make sure that there are these facilities because this is tourism is a huge source of income for these areas. Yeah. So they want to make sure that people that the tourists are well taken care of in case of such an emergency. So yes, there are good medical facilities in the region.
Awesome. I also wanted to know in that regard, the last time, I think that the one prior to the last, and the last one also, the cool thing that you guys do is you communicate with local police forces. You just have this communication with the area, right?
Exactly.
With authorities, just so they know that we're there, they know what we're doing. I think that's just a really cool extra step that you guys take.
Yeah, and sometimes we'll even provide like a free, training session for the local law enforcement, so that they know who we are, what we're about, and they're also, if in the event we do need their services, and even for local emergency medical personnel, then they know who we are and where we're at, and they're little quicker. We would hope to help out with anything.
Right on. All right, so getting close to the end of this podcast. Let's talk about guest instructors.
Yes.
Yes.
So I'll talk a little bit about the ones that we probably want to announce at this point. And unless you want to get into the whole the whole potential lineup, but the ones we do know that will be there are obviously myself. I'll be one of the instructors. Tuhon Jared, he's the one of the other Tuhons within the PTTA. If you've had the chance to train with Kit, he's a wealth of knowledge, and a lot of people just love his teaching and his teaching style, and the wealth of knowledge that he brings to the plate. So he will be one of the instructors. Mandala Patch Caballero, who's one of our local Philippine-based PTTA instructors, will also be an instructor there. We always have some of our other mandala level or a higher level instructors internationally that will be there teach also. So a few of them have yet to 100% confirm their attendance, but we're looking at most likely Mandala Johannes will be there. Most likely Mandala John Frankhusen from Germany will be there. Again, two of our great instructors, and some other mandalas too that, like I said, yet to confirm their attendance, but will likely be there, and more. So there will be a bunch of different instructors. I'm hesitant to announce some of them until they're actually like 100. They're like 80%. I'm going to be there until they're 100% confirmed. I'm a little hesitant to announce some of the other instructors, but the lineup is top notch.
Yes. Last time it was Tuhon Philip, right?
Yes, exactly. In Sigor, yep. Tuhon Philip was our main guest instructor last time. When I say main guest instructor, that was outside of our standard, instructor lineup. And he was a great experience, great instructor, and great experience for everyone that was there.
And will there be another someone from outside of your organization's instructor lineup that will be there?
Yes, we do have an instructor. I'm not going to say outside of we can say outside of the immediate PTTA and our regular lineup. Yes.
Yeah. And why do you do that? Why do you bring somebody in from outside of like the immediate instructor lineup?
Yeah, we like to provide. One of our philosophies within the PTTA is let's provide our members with the greatest opportunity for growth, right? And sometimes other instructors give people an opportunity to see things done through a different light. I mean, our guest instructors to date have always been Pekiti Tirsia instructors. We haven't really ventured too far out of the Pekiti Tirsia family, the greater Pekiti Tirsia family. But we've had many Pekiti Tirsia instructors from outside of our organization, and that again is we're not afraid for people to see how the art is being taught outside of our organizations. We think that's healthy for growth. People, individuals will see different ways of the art being taught, being presented. We like to say within Pekiti Tirsia, it's such a broad art that we have a lot of freedom for self-expression, right? And so I express the art in a way that's particular to my experience. The filter I put it through is based on the arts I've trained and my life experiences. And I can say the same for other instructors. They teach it in a different way based on the filter they've put it through. And so I think the more the students can get that exposure, the more they're able to find their way. What's the best way for me to understand and express this art? And again, I think it's just it creates a very healthy environment for growth within the art when we actually bring in instructors from outside of our immediate circles.
So philosophically speaking, going outside of the conference, that's something interesting that I found about the PTTA and you in particular, is that you embrace sort of an individual expression of the art but that's not to say that there isn't a standard within the PTTA. How do those things actually balance out, right?
Well, the way I like to I guess articulate it is because we do have like you said, within the app, we do have a set curriculum, right? And we have a structure. But the way I like to explain it to people is, to really have a strong house, you have to have a good foundation, right? So you have to have a solid foundation, and then you have to have a good framework to work within. So you build your foundation, and you build a frame. And then from there, the process of filling in that house, putting on my walls, my tiles, my decorations, so on and so forth. That's where the exploration comes in, because so long as you've got that solid foundation and that frame, you're going to be able to better benefit from exploring other ways of doing things and fill it in a little bit better. But everyone knows within Pekiti Tirsia Kali, just among all the organizations, I would say there's going to be a consistent basis of movements and mechanics and fundamental exercises and techniques. But again, the way that we start filling that in is just the enrichment process that is, in my opinion, lifelong. And the best way to do it is, again, just see how it's being taught in different areas by different people.
I love that, actually. So like in this house of Pekiti Tirsia, I can kind of decorate my room how I like, but exactly. I'm still part of the structure. Yes. I really appreciated that. I felt it from the beginning, and I think that's why people from different organizations within Pekiti or FMA as a whole gravitate towards the PTTA, because it's not like you get them to denounce their previous allegiances and do it my way or the highway. It's not at all.
No, not at all. It's about your personal growth, right? And the best way to do that sometimes is to I've been training with this instructor for so long, but I can learn. And so it's the best way sometimes for personal growth is that exploration. So and again, and what is self-defense and fighting really about? It's about results, right? It's not you don't want to be so locked into a way of doing things that you're sacrificing actual functionality. And so we're about, and if there's more than one way to skin a cat, there's more than one way to actually, and if you're getting the results that you want, that you're looking for, and in this case in self-defense and in weapon-based particular fighting, then that's what our goal is. So
all right, so last question. Dan wrote, training each day with different mandalas and Tuhons was an amazing experience in Sikihor. That was the last PTTA conference. Up to this day, I haven't digested yet all the lessons and wisdom that they shared. Looking forward to the whole conference. So you allow people to film the lessons so far as, it doesn't sort of interrupt with other people learning, but there's a documentation project happening this year.
Yeah, so this year we're doing it, a little bit differently, and we've kind of, experimented with this, but this year we're actually going full in, right, with this concept. And so we're going to do a full documentation this time. So meaning we've got, in addition to yourself that will be there, as again helping to document this, we're hiring a film crew so that we can document all of the training sessions. And that way people, because there is a lot to digest here, right?
Wow.
It's pretty much undigestible, the amount of information that you get. And so if you've got this documented well, then you can just, for the next period of time, maybe it's 2 years till the next one, or maybe, depending how often you train, you can just go back and revisit those lessons and I got it. I got the drill. I was moving okay, but I forgot some of the nuances. So now you can go back and just revisit that. In addition to that, it's kind of like it's like a yearbook, right? It's a book of remembrance. So you've got, there'll be behind the scenes documentation of the event. So people can relive some of those moments again. And then for people that don't have the opportunity to be there and really want to participate in the learning processes, then you can buy the video later on and actually see the lessons that were taught in this particular conference. So it's so that's something new we're doing this year. Yes. And I think it's going to be a great project because so many people have asked for this in the years past.
Yeah, it's going to be huge. And in the past I was there to document, but I couldn't be in two places at once. This is a specific documentation project so that each lesson from each instructor is captured and curated, and you'll get an opportunity to use that as a training resource forever. I think that's really cool. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's not to replace in-person training, but if you couldn't make it out, it might be an alternative, right?
It's the next best thing. Yeah, it's the next best thing. I mean, if you like you said, the best way to really to experience the learning is to be there in person. But it's the next best thing. I think we've learned particularly in the last few years during the pandemic, that you can actually learn. You can learn things from a distance. You can learn things through online training medium. That you can learn, and it's the next best thing to be able to be there in person at an event like this. But so it's not a replacement, but it's a great supplement for those in attendance. And again, for those that can't be there, then it's going to be a great learning resource.
Awesome. All right. Well, Tuhon, I think I got through all my questions. Is there anything else before we let you go? Anything else you want to say to the people?
No, just that, I appreciate you, hosting this. This is like I always say, these are great experiences. It's going to the birthplace of the Filipino martial arts in general, most in particular, Pekiti Tirsia, the one that we train. There's nothing like it. You have to experience it. And once you've experienced it, most people, they want to come back for more. So if it's something that you can accommodate, within your time and resources, then by all means, I highly recommend you be there.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time, Tuhon Jared.
Thank you. Absolutely. We'll see you.
Woo! All right, that was good. Oh, we have a couple more comments to get through. Thank you guys so much for joining. Yeah, personally speaking, this event has been transformative for me. Some of you might know me as somebody who travels around and goes to different groups. There's no event like this. It's very special. Will there be any pre-event curriculum drills? Well, if you go on YouTube, let's see, this comment came from Facebook. So go on YouTube and just type in Pekiti Tirsia Tactical Association. There are a ton of drills on the YouTube channel. Make sure to follow the PTTA on Facebook as well. Follow Tuhon Jared on Instagram. Follow the PTTA across all social media platforms. They're always dishing out information, drills, all that. Oh, here's a great question. Will GM Pogi be at the bar? I'm not sure. I'm not sure about this one. I hope he shows up. All right. So that's it. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. I'm going to share one last video. By the way, this video is going to be available after it's live on the PTTA YouTube channel. So if you have any questions and you weren't able to watch this live, just type it out and we'll get to it. Somebody will get to it. All right. Take care, everybody.